And the cool thing is, not that anybody keeps things from when they were childproofing their home, but childproofing your home products work excellent for anybody that you're keeping in the home with some sort of dementia or early onset or Parkinson's or something where they're aging.
Dad still lived with my mother at the time, and he was an avid chef, and I went to their house and just happened to go by that day, walked into the house, and I could smell gas. I could smell the natural gas. Luckily, they had windows open. It was a beautiful day, and I almost left, but there's just some, I was like, no, I know I smell gas. I know it. And they had gas dryer, and I smelled it when I went into the laundry room from the garage, and I thought, so I smelled all around. It wasn't the laundry room, and I was like, okay, where else is there gas? And then I walked into the kitchen, and my dad had turned a knob, but hadn't lit the stove.
Right.
And so I then went out and bought the knob locks that you can put on your stove to keep my dad from being able to turn the knob.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexie Callies. Do you feel the squeeze of caring for an elderly loved one and school-aged children? Then welcome to the Sandwich Stories. Let's dig in.
Hi everybody, it's Lexie Callies with Sandwich Stories, and today we have Christopher Lewis with Dragon's Eye Construction, and we're going to talk about aging in place, but also things you can do when you have little ones, or God forbid you also have an accident and you're maybe middle-aged but need to make some changes to your home too, so that you can stay in your home as long as possible. All right. Hey, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Appreciate
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Also, I have used Chris for multiple things. He's really great. His team is great, and I can't say anything bad about him.
She's not wrong.
And he's just a fun guy.
It's like a mushroom. Oh.
Anyway, he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to talk about aging in place,
okay.
And I know that that's something that you can help families do when their loved ones are getting older, but they really want to stay in their home a little longer.
And it is indeed, from a contractor's perspective, the ones and twos, because a lot of people don't go into it with a plan. And the best time to plan is before anything happens.
Right.
And hopefully you'll never need your plan.
Right.
But the odds aren't ever in your favor, to steal a phrase. And so in that respect, being able to do it all at once in a robust way that handles most of your top 10 items is a excellent opportunity for a contractor. And I think more and more it's just people either don't know how or don't want to mess with it from the perspective of, I'm going to have to keep on coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. So unless it is a comprehensive plan, I can see where you might get that from some contractors. But at the end of the day, if you're helping out your friends and family, people in the community, you do the hard work so that you can do the easy work.
And so when you look at someone, if someone were to call you and say, hey, my mother is getting older, but she's not really ready to go to nursing home or assisted living, when you went into a house, what would you say? What would you look at to say, here's a game plan. Here are the things, like you said, top 10 things that you would sit there and say, let's do this. And maybe they can stay in their house longer. But what are you looking for?
Because every scenario is unique in and of its needs, whether someone is, how would you say, bedridden, or they're slightly mobile, or they're completely mobile. They just need things to be a little bit easier due to arthritic onset or just lack of mobility. You can do quite a few things up front, anything from handrails, starting with walking up to the house. If there's any type of debris or any type of steps, if you can eliminate the steps and either create a more gradual incline or ramp even. The threshold of your home should probably be about level to a half inch over the step to a lower step, but not more than an inch. So that when they're stepping in, they're stepping down, they're not having to step up, because those are just getting more and more difficult in that mobility scenario. So handrails inside the entry of your home. If you have tile, make sure it is some sort of non-slip tile or a matte finish tile. Glass, even if it's wet or you have water on your foot and shoes, it can turn into a skating rink and you can be off to the races.
Same with marble. I know travertine was really popular for a long time. People put it in their house, but I slip on it
It's
I've had it in the house before, and I immediately took it out because
any type of natural, most natural stones are going to be slick when you touch them.
right.
And that on top of mobility issues where I don't even know if my feet are going left to right when I'm going forward,
Yes.
that can be a terrible situation. And that kind of leads to any of the wet rooms in your house, whether it's the laundry room, whether it's the kitchen, whether it's the bathroom, anywhere there's plumbing that may have tile or may have laminate or may have some sort of installation of something other than a stickier surface, if you will.
Right.
Those should all be considerations that you take into account. When somebody's moving through the home, if you can give them, ADA says 36 inches for hallways, but you know as well as I do, 40 inches, 45 inches, it's not uncommon to see 48, a full 4-foot hallway in most homes nowadays.
Right.
Just from a perspective of they may be in a wheelchair or some sort of mobility, scooter, something like that. And that being said, most of those scooters are about 3 feet ish esque. So in areas that they need to turn around, they need at least like 5 feet.
Oh yeah.
Square. So 25 square feet for any turnarounds where you have intersections and hallways. Those are all things to kind of take into consideration, just making it easier. Everybody knows that door handles and door pulls and knobs all have different difficulty level settings.
Yeah. I was going to say with that, doorknobs, when you have little ones, actual round knobs are great for safety because your child doesn't have the dexterity to actually turn the knob. So that's really good. But then once you get older and you have arthritis, you have an elderly loved one living with you, or they are in their own home, the bars that you push down are the ones you want to change to, for the fact that if you have arthritis, you can't grip, or you can use an elbow. There's other ways to open the door besides just turning the knob. And
that kind of brings up an interesting point, as most things are kind of a bell curve through life. And if you've ever raised children, you've baby proofed and you've child proofed. There's definitely 2 different timelines there. From anchoring stuff to a wall so children don't climb up and pull it over to them, to just don't make it accessible for them to climb up it or pull up on it. Those are 2 different equations, and as you go into the aging in place, those kind of happen backwards. And there are 2 different distinctive, if someone stays in the home 5-10 years before they absolutely need elder care of some sort, that also has to happen. And because every situation is unique, it could be, something, I'm not trying to lay slight to it, but someone's fallen and hurt themselves and broke a leg or broke a hip or any type of that creating mobility issues is very different than you're living in the household with someone with dementia. And the cool thing is, not that anybody keeps things from when they were childproofing their home, but childproofing your home products work excellent for anybody that you're keeping in the home with some sort of dementia or early onset or Parkinson's or something where they're aging.
Dad still lived with my mother at the time, and he was an avid chef, and I went to their house and just happened to go by that day, walked into the house, and I could smell gas. I could smell the natural gas. Luckily, they had windows open. It was a beautiful day. And I almost left, but there's just I was like, no, I know I smell gas. I know it. And they had gas dryer, and I smelled it when I went into the laundry room from the garage. And I thought, so I smelled all around. It wasn't the laundry room. And I was like, okay, where else is there gas? And then I walked into the kitchen, and my dad had turned a knob, but hadn't lit the stove.
Right.
And so I then went out and bought the knob locks that you can put on your stove to keep my dad from being able to turn the knob on and then have the gas turn on by accident. And like I said, thank goodness my mother had the windows open that day and I hadn't just left, because had I left and not found it, my mom couldn't smell it. My mom didn't smell it because she was sitting by an open window.
Factory issues.
And my dad had dementia, so there's no way he would have known. And we were able to luckily turn the gas off. And that saved their life actually that day. And I instantly.
And who knows who else's? Right. Because had you all gotten home and nobody really smelled it.
Yes.
Then that could have been.
Yeah, it could have been, or God forbid, something spark.
Quick note. Yeah. For anybody in a wheelchair who has dementia also, or has been confined to a wheelchair because their body's just degrading and their mentality isn't thinking, Wheelchairs are usually the perfect height of handles, where when they pass by a stove, they can possibly hit the handles.
Oh,
So
that's
a really
good to
quick,
know.
easy way to make sure that that doesn't happen, regardless of why the wheelchair's in the kitchen or not, those can be pulled off. Put them in a bowl, stick them in the fridge, and then we'll have a look for them.
That's a great. I didn't know that, and now we all learned something new. Super easy and cheap. You don't have to go buy
Don't have to
the
buy a
fancy
bunch of
knobs
things.
from the baby store, but
But it gives you peace of mind, and you know full well that I turned the stove off, and you don't have to drive it back.
yes, that was I would have had to drive another 20 minutes back to my mother's house to be like,
Right.
if it just stuck in my head and I wouldn't have let it go. But I found it and saved the day. So when people are going to have you come into their house, like we've said, thresholds, non-slip surfaces, rugs, get rid of your rugs. If you have an elderly loved one in your house, they're a tripping hazard. I trip on them and I'm completely able-bodied. They are super dangerous. My mom actually tripped on one of hers, dislocated and broke her ankle all at the same time. So, which is why when I really wanted Chris to come on, because having that happen to my mom in the past, she could walk with a rollator. Everything was fine. She tripped on an area rug that she loved. Like I said, she called me. She said, I think I broke my ankle. I went over to her house. I had to straighten her out to see if she broke her ankle. And that's when I saw it dislocated. And then, sorry, it's gory. I know, I'm sorry. But it slipped back into place. And I got her to the emergency room and they found out she had broken her ankle.
Goodness.
But then that meant she needed a scooter because having Parkinson's, there's no way she could walk with, in a with crutches or
even a cane.
in a cane. None of that would have ever happened. So we had to we wrapped her ankle really tightly. We had to put her in a boot. So it wasn't ideal, but the orthopedist also understood there's no way this woman could balance on one foot. So at least we were able to use a walking boot. But back in the day, I had knee surgery and I couldn't wait here for 3 months because of the kind of knee surgery I had. So I bought a scooter because I had a 2-year-old. I had a 2-year-old at the same time. So I bought one of those little power scooters. I've kept it. It's come in handy. So I was able to give it to my mom. She could mobile around, get around. But that's when I started seeing things in her house. Like you said, you don't know it's going to come, when it's going to come, but it might be coming. And to have it prepped ahead of time would be great, especially if you live in older houses where doors are a little more narrow.
Anything pre-83?
Yeah, so this was like a 1985 house. So the doorways were a little more narrow, especially into her bathroom.
Yes, that's definitely.
And so I paid to have someone come and widen the door so we could at least get the scooter through the door. And then from that point on, we made some changes. So if you went into a bathroom, let's say 1985 home, 1980 to 1990, things are smaller, narrower. It wasn't as open concept as a lot of people want now.
Most doors are, nowadays anyway, are 36 inches, which meets ADA, but the ADA means a 36-inch opening. So when you have a reveal from your door being open, that cuts out about 2 inches, inch and a half. So it's no longer a 32-inch opening, unless that wraps all the way to the back of the wall.
Yeah.
But most people don't have a bathroom where that's even possible.
No, my mom had double doors and it was probably a 24-inch door.
Right.
Like it was really narrow.
Little bitty.
You can almost, so we had I had them widen the door. I took off the doors, I had them cut it, and then just made it an open space. We didn't have doors on it anymore.
So you can always come back and install shutter doors.
You can do,
doors,
yeah, there's things you can
doors.
do. And then we had to make some other changes. So, like you said, grab bars.
Yes.
Where would you tell people to put grab bars?
Grab bars should be in one of 3 locations, either right near the door. If that door transitions over into like a mirrored setting or an area that's in front of a sink or a dual sink situation, you may want to co-locate that next to the door, next to the sink. But realize if that's on the left-hand side and they're not left-handed, you're making it more difficult for them. So if there's anything that you can do on the cabinet base itself, that you can anchor a handhold, it doesn't even have to be a full length grab bar. It can be something as little as 8 to 10 inches, just something where they can hold and support while utilizing their right hand. You may have to install something like that. Would definitely have one in the bath or shower. I would even go so far as to mention having a shower seat,
Yes.
either built in if you don't already have one, or something that's mobile that can be moved easily in and out of the shower area. If you do have a shower, cutting out the curb where they have to step over can in a lot of ways help in that situation also, which would basically eliminate the need for one transitioning from the outside of the shower to the inside of the shower. Those are definitely your main areas. Basically anywhere you're going to be standing or sitting or transitioning. Raising your toilet heights,
Yes.
is an excellent idea. It just stooping and crouching as you age becomes more and more difficult. I was in the gym the other day, and I don't like being in the gym at all. It's a love-hate relationship. But just crouching down at my age is not something that I do as formidably as I once did, which frustrates me. But I can only imagine 20 years from now, knock on wood, that I get another 20 years, that's going to be that much more extraordinarily difficult.
Right. And if you think about toilets, how they've changed over the years and how we now love one that's a chair height. Back in the day, toilets were not very tall. And sometimes I see them when I've looked at houses in the past, and it makes my knees hurt just by looking at it. Very low. It looks like a toddler toilet. And it's that mentality, right? You have someone who's been in this house for 40 plus years, and the toilet works. Why would you buy a new toilet? Who knows? Why would you ever replace something because it still works?
Because it's $300 and it makes your life easier.
Yes. And so with that, you can, like you said, change to a chair height toilet. I had looked for this for my mother, even thinking about changing it at her assisted living. I did not know this, and I'm sure you did. 21-inch toilets. They very tall. So for someone who is as tall as you,
new definition
very tall.
To the word throne.
Yes. But then you don't have to have, if you were to buy one of those, you might not have to have like this separate screw-on seat raiser, because you might be at 21 inches. That's pretty tall for someone to get on and off of.
Your bolt complements that are going to anchor it to whatever flooring solution you have are almost always universal to some degree or another, so that they can be on and off and changed out.
So that's easy.
Even if you've got tile or you've got laminate or wood flooring, for God's sakes, I don't understand why, or carpet, which I've still seen being done. Don't do carpet in the bathroom, please. See, two people agree. Those types of things, anchoring them down, usually come kit complete. It's the distance from the wall to the plumbing that you have to be aware of, because there are multiple settings, if you will. So when you're ordering or buying a toilet, make sure that you understand that measurement first, because 21, 10, 15, whatever inch tall it is, it's kind of universal in its height.
It's just
but it may not sit down on the wax seal when you remove the old one and replace it with a new one, because you're off. The holes will not match it.
And then there, yet again, is a location where you can put in a grab bar.
Yes, that would be even two. Two is ideal from a toilet transition, because you're sitting, but one preferably on the dominant arm. Of whoever it is. Would be ideal. And even if you wanted to install two on one side, you could have one that runs parallel to the floor, and then one that runs at about a 30 degree to the ceiling, so that you have either gripping to let yourself down or gripping to push yourself up.
And then there are things you can do if you can't afford a new toilet, and to have someone come install it. There are things you can buy that can raise the seat of your existing toilet, and they tend to bolt onto like where your toilet seat bolts onto. And sometimes they come with handles, but those are also weight restricted.
Very much so.
Because it's normally just plastic or
And
aluminum.
And even if it was porcelain,
Yeah.
other than metal and cast metal at that, you can't really guarantee the weight bearing.
Yeah. So then yet again, having someone like Chris come in to put in grab bars on the wall, he's going to make sure it's in the studs. He's going to make sure that you can pull on it, that you can use the force, and it's not going to rip out of the wall. Yeah. And that's why hiring someone professional to do it is really best. Okay, so we've done the bathroom. We've been in the bathroom. Let's talk about the kitchen. So
kitchen, we briefly
kind of got there, but we can go back.
So the kitchen is a place where, depending on if you're at version 1.0, 2.0 of adult proofing versus child proofing,
right.
You may want them in the kitchen and you may not want them in the kitchen. And that goes back over what I was saying, that early childhood prevention products work excellent for adult prevention products as well. From putting up gates into the entry so that they can no longer move through that barrier without your help, are ideal in that situation. One of the things for kitchens that most people don't think about, I would say, are countertops and bar tops. Like you've seen the little 18-inch bar piece that runs the length of the.
Right.
Those aren't always anchored well.
Okay.
They're usually, depending on your span, outside of whatever support wall they're on, or whatever your overhang is for your cabinet top. Those are usually anchored pretty well with some sort of adhesive to your cabinets. The bars usually have a metal bracket or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how far it comes out. Especially if you're able to tuck a bar stool underneath it,
right.
It's probably of the width that it should be bracketed. Okay. Just look up underneath it. If you see the metal brackets, you're bracketed. If you don't, maybe that's a question you ask somebody to take a look at, because then you're relying on adhesive. And because they push down on things to stand up, or they pull up on things to stand up, if they grab hold of that and they put their full weight bearing, which most people don't ever really do on a bar,
right?
At least not your bar, maybe at, but no, just kidding. But that's something that a lot of people don't take into account, and kind of because a piece of granite, whatever it is, whether it's marble or it could be something heavy, even if it's just concrete or butcher block, that's still a lot of weight.
That is a lot of weight.
And that can do a lot of damage if it comes off on somebody.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that. And I get, actually thinking about that too. So when you have your loved one pushing down to be able to stand up, think about what children do. So you have a 2-year-old and they are a monkey. What are they going to hang on? They're going to hang on that bar. My son would have totally hung on a bar.
If they're transitioning from a chair to in front of the sink for some reason, or they're trying to get up and make coffee, a lot of times reaching up, because the cabinet's going to be about face height.
Right.
And this is not really navigable because it's right here in your face.
Right.
So you're looking for something, whether that's the refrigerator door or that's the bar top or whatever it is, it just makes sure that it's safe and anchored.
Yeah. I mean, those are the things, like if, just being here and talking about it makes, my brain starts spinning about all the things that having a son, now my mom, when I had my knee surgery. And I think, being in that scooter for me personally, it gave me a new perspective of a world at a certain height. And like you said, everything is kind of counter height and I have to be able to get up, and I could stand up. I mean, I am, but yet again, I couldn't put weight in one leg. Otherwise I would have thrown my whole surgery
without a crutch.
And without a crutch.
You all the time.
Yeah. So I would have thrown it all off and I would have just had to do the surgery all over again. So yet again, I was pushing to get out of the chair or to stand up out of the chair so that I could grab out the cabinet and those, and those are the things that on the wall, grab bars in my house at all times, I think would be a really
I think and this is for future reference, anybody that watches this, I think home builders kind of missed the boat by not putting more grab bars and rock pulls, much like a rock climbing gym around your house, so that you could more easily navigate things.
Because God forbid something happened to you. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to have surgery. Mine was only 3 months. Sadly, I have news from a friend that her husband had a stroke. And just recently, he's in his mid-40s. life could be changing for them. And so these are the things that, if you already have it in your house and installed and ready to go, it's not things you have to think about. But then yet again, if you think, if ever your loved one is not going to be living in their house, but you want them to live with you, if you are that person who would agree to let your loved one, if you get along with them. Like I said before, my mother and I would not last very well together for a long time. That's why she doesn't live with me. But if my grandmother lived with us for a while, having those kinds of things, if that's the relationship that you're going to have in your life with your loved one, having these things already put in place before they ever move in with you, it's done, it's ready to go, and then it's just second nature to use things within the house that are already there too.
And that's it. I couldn't have said it better, because it all speaks back to planning. If you have the time to plan, which most people do,
right?
I try to plan for things inside my own home that make it easier for me.
Yes.
Just because I need things to be easier, more efficient, and that's just my personality type, and I know how to do it.
Yes.
Most people, this is their first rodeo. They've never done this before. They didn't expect to have a parent moving in with them, or they didn't have the time to appropriately plan and put these things in place. And let's face it, the older you get, the less likely you are to like change.
Yes.
And so if you move into a space that's like, wow, this is really difficult to navigate, and now not only that, but wait, there's more. We're going to stop all that and keep you out of places and change this all up so that it can be easier for you. But that change in and of itself is different than the environment they're used to.
Yeah.
So, and that can be difficult.
Yeah.
It can set a whole other bar of emotional angst.
Yeah. Now, do you feel that if you're going to have a loved one live in your house, or they're going to be in their own home, and we're looking at, if you're able to remodel a bathroom, let's say you're able to remodel a kitchen, you're able to remodel a bathroom to help that loved one, how would you feel that you should change things? Is it counter height? Is it getting rid of those stool bars altogether in the kitchen? Like, are you lowering things?
It could very well be
one, or a split,
or both.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. I personally, because trends are what they are, most people who have a raised bar are wanting to just chop it, block it, make it all one level length, and then it's chair pull up, or it's just a bar stool pull up. There's no overhang anymore, unless they're extending their little base cabinet out into an island.
Okay.
In which case, there's a lot of different calculations that go into that based on what you're trying to do. You may need to add cabinets for that support. Okay. But if you're just trying to take it away, that would be ideal, because again, it puts them at a comfortable tabletop without needing to kind of transition from chair to chair to be able to experience that.
Yeah. And then are you changing sink heights also? Or
if you can, not everybody's sinks are set up the same. Some people have cabinet bases with countertops and mirrors. Some people have already gone through transition and turned that into, from a single cabinet, small vanity, to a pedestal type. And in those pedestal types, you can get a variety of heights. You can also modify those if they are made of wood and you buy one off the shelf. You can easily cut the legs out from underneath them. You may lose that small under space for storing tiles or whatever underneath, but you get the appropriate height to serve whoever it is and their needs based on what that height needs to be.
Now, I have seen things, and it's been a little bit of a trend with the elderly, is to actually raise the dishwashers. So you're not stupid.
Or to put like a caddy shelf next to them. So say you've got one of those small doors between your sink base and your dishwasher.
Yes.
Pull that cabinet door and lose that cabinet space, or create a pull-out or some sort of Lazy Susan type movement, so that can be pulled out, even if it's a stair step or something that locks that they can lean on.
Right.
So that they have a transition point from the sink to the dishwasher.
Oh, okay.
Because at that point, the cabinet space over the dishwasher isn't always a place where you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives them that extra stability, support, workspace.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Even if it's just another, just like the pool we were talking about next to your bath, baby. Having something like that that they can hold on to as they're rinsing a glass off,
right?
Or putting something in the sink.
And then, like I said, loading the dishwasher, you're not stooping over. You're not.
Yes.
So if you're able to raise the dishwasher,
not everybody has that space because countertops are usually pretty static.
that is true.
And unfortunately, there's just a gap between your end cap cabinet and your first cabinet, or it may be an end cap itself, and it's just a piece of wood. So raising that dishwasher might not be a possibility. You may have to replace the dishwasher altogether and get a smaller compact one. In which case, you could put a pedestal base underneath that and then just run the plumbing through it.
Oh, okay.
So that is indeed possible. It's just not for everyone based on what they have available at home.
Or or the pull-out drawer style dishwashers.
Oh, absolutely.
Those are really good too. Yeah. And really, if you have a loved one, they're not really using a lot of dishes. They might just need that top small pull-out drawer,
and that's
they
perfect
can do their own.
Into say they have a microwave, or microwaves are usually high, or cabinet based.
Yes.
A warming door or cabinet microwave.
Yeah.
Those are right here at hip to waist ratio, so they can just pull up and do whatever they got to get from the refrigerator to there. Is a much easier transition than having to reach up and above and around.
Reaching up, food falling is not good.
So I'm not going to say I haven't reached up and taken a hit in the head or two, but
yes,
it's not.
But no, I understand that, and so I guess these are also things that you can, looking at certain things too, like you said, safety that you're using with little ones. You're going to put into you can use with your elderly loved ones too. So when you're putting in baby and child proofing, putting in locks, in the past, I used the kind that had a magnetic key. So you couldn't see it, but then you had a magnetic key that found it and it dropped a bearing. And so then the door opened.
Right.
But these are things that you need to keep safe too, because just like your children, elderly loved ones don't always know that something is dangerous. If they have dementia, especially because they might see something colored blue and it's a cleaning product, but they might think Listerine and they're going to drink it, or they're going to, and so same thing I found. So like, to make things safe, we're going to put in cabinet locks under the sink, because most people, I don't know why we got in the habit of this, keeping all our cleaning products under the sink.
Right.
Why are they not put high up away? I don't know.
Because we also, as humans, don't want to work very hard to get the things that we're going to use to work very hard.
So putting in cabinet locks under the sink, so that children.
And this kind of speaks to locks overall.
Yeah.
Let's approach that as a whole topic.
Yeah.
Kids and adults and aging seniors, window locks, second story. Make sure they stay that way.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, they might see something blue like the sky and think it's time to go outside and try to move through that portal, which would be bad in every situation. Kids also climbing on things or people pulling up on things. Make sure if you've got like a high buffet in your living room or some sort of furniture, entertainment center, whatever it is, anchor it to the wall if you possibly can, if it's possible. To just allow that additional stability.
Thank you so much for listening to Sandwich Stories. I really hope you learned some new things and enjoyed it. If you did, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell everybody you know to also listen. Maybe they'll learn some new things, how to help each other out, and find us at Sandwich Stories Podcast. Thanks so much.